Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Science Stream. Thank you for joining us live on Facebook. We hope you continue to stay safe and healthy during this pandemic. We'll be starting our podcast shortly, so make yourself comfortable, and if you have any questions for our guests tonight, feel free to leave your questions in the comments section. See you later. Hello once again, especially to those who have just joined us. I'm Sean from Penang, Penang's very own Science Discovery Center. We heard from Dr. Hu last week that contact tracing is one of the steps taken to stop the spread of COVID-19. Contact tracing has been instrumental in containing the epidemic in South Korea, and governments around the world have scrambled to find a solution to identify people who have been in close contact with confirmed COVID-19 patients so that they can be examined, tested, and put under quarantine to contain the spread of the virus. It is no different in Malaysia. At the federal level alone, there are 3 contact tracing apps: MyTrace by the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, MySejahtera by the Ministry of Health, and finally Gerak Malaysia by the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, which falls under the Ministry of Communications and Multimedia. The fragmentation continues at the state or federal territories level, with Sarawak having 2 of their own contact tracing solutions, COVID Trace and Qminity. Sabah with Sabah Trace, Selangor's Selangkah, Johor's Jejak Johor, Kuala Lumpur's KL Step, and Penang's very own PenangCare. Some use Bluetooth technology, while others use QR codes. What's the difference between the two? How is technology being employed to fight this invisible enemy we are facing now? Praburaajan Selvarajan, the CEO and co-founder of Madison Technologies, which is behind PenangCare, will shed some light on this matter. Madison Technologies is a boutique product development outfit with offices in Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnam, Philippines, UK, and Australia. Prabu has a vast amount of experience leading technology at several startups and building products and infrastructure that scale. Please join me to welcome Prabu to the show.
Hi,
Welcome
everyone.
to Mr Prabu.
Hi, Sean.
Thank
How are
you for being here tonight. I understand you say that you're not feeling so well tonight, so hope that we can get through this quickly so that you can have a good rest. And you just came back from Penang.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Go back to KL. So, okay, we hope not to take too much of your time. That looks like a gorilla on your chest. I understand that is your company logo. Would you like to enlighten us on why you chose a gorilla for the logo of a tech company?
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. This is our logo. And well, we were looking for a logo, and we came across a couple of different logos, mostly the the more traditional logo types and things like that. But I mean, first of all, we wanted something unique. Second of all, the gorilla kind of resonated with us simply because we believe in taking care of our people and as a team, and we're very closely knit as a team, and gorillas I mean they do all of that, right? They work in a tribe. They're very nurturing and things like that, and even in the forest they're very gentle, right? So that's we would like to think that we have a lot of those values within the company and within the leadership.
And you're also helping take care of Penangites as well with PenangCare.
Well, yeah, I mean, not really. The government the government takes care of the people. We just see where we can help, right?
Yeah. Apart from PenangCare, your company is also known to have developed COVE-CT. This, in fact, is the precursor to PenangCare.
Right.
Understandably, with the federal government surprising everyone when they announced the start of Conditional Movement Control Order, CMCO, and relaxation of most sectors of the economy in the next few days. At that time when they made the announcement, the Penang state government, like many other state governments in Malaysia, had to scramble to get a quick solution for contact tracing. So tell us about how PenangCare came about and is linked with COVE-CT.
Yeah, so Cough City is something that we launched right after the first phase of the MCO, right? Um, and while we were building it, we did truly believe that in order for it to be effective, we we need to work with governments, whether federal or state, right? And at that point in time, being hopeful. So we contacted the government, and I'd say we're very thankful that Penang responded to us. So since then, Cough City still runs. We decided to launch it anyway as a grassroots type initiative, and that still gets quite a few users and also locations coming on board, especially as you said during the CMCO period where a lot of these things were kind of sprung onto people, including businesses and things like that. So I guess a lot of companies and a lot of premises were looking for some sort of solution, and thankfully we did this quite early on, when there wasn't really any similar solutions out there.
Undoubtedly, the QR code route is a faster solution to implement considering the circumstances, but its success is dependent on users actually checking in and businesses actually offering such a service instead of employing their own contact tracing methods. All contact tracing solutions employ big data analytics. So the more users and data available, the more successful the solution will be. How does PenangCare ensure it remains useful and relevant in the sea of contact tracing solutions in Malaysia?
I think there are a lot of different methods of doing contact tracing, which we've seen. There's the good old detective work, almost where you got to interview the patients, ask them to recall, literally use the memory to recall where they've been. Yeah, where they've been in the past 2 weeks, and I think you'd probably agree with me, Sean. Like, we probably don't even remember what we ate like 3 days ago, right? So
Yeah.
basically, see, it's effective, but it does require a lot of memory recall and a lot of guesswork and things like that. So governments have launched many different types of contact tracing tools. Not only the government, but I think even in the private sector, we've launched several different versions of this. How do we stay relevant? I think it has to be a combined effort with with the citizens, with also the premises, because the method that we have here, it's voluntary, right? It's not something where you're being tracked 24 hours a day or anything of that sort. So it's completely voluntary, and because it's voluntary, there has to be a certain level of social responsibility in providing the information required to the authorities.
So in this pandemic, it's actually encouraging to see competitors come together to work on a solution. Apple and Google have worked on releasing a common contact tracing APK or IPA for Apple for their iOS and Android mobile platforms, which employs Bluetooth technology and prioritizes privacy. Each country is only able to register one app using that said APK IPA, which points to the preference of a universal contact tracing solution to be fully effective. Would it be wiser to have a universal contact tracing solution?
Yeah, definitely. I think a centralized contact tracing solution would be something that helps everybody, right? Because I think a lot of the solutions out there basically provide the information back to a central body anyway. So in this case, it's the health authorities, and whether it's the health authorities at a state level, or it's the health authorities on a federal level. So I think it is important to find a way to consolidate a lot of the information, or since we're seeing there are many different versions of a similar solution, and I think having those channels open in order to aid with contact tracing across the country would be important as well.
So we mentioned about big data analytics. So that means that the more people using this, the more data is collected, the more effective and successful the solution. So is Penang Care ready for an influx of more users as the CMCO is relaxed further, possibly from the 9th of June? How scalable is Penang Care?
I think from day one when we launched it, also when we were working with the government to prepare it for launch, our main goal at all times was to make sure that we build something that is scalable, we build something that lasts, and as you can imagine, there's always a ramp up at the early days where an influx of users come in, and we see that still happening. What we've done is we have sufficient infrastructure, and I think a lot of that is thanks to a lot of our past experiences in building highly scalable websites and platforms and things like that, because the last thing we wanted is you launch something and then it crashes as soon as it's out the gate. But so far, thankfully, we've been we've been okay on PgCare.
So what is the difference between a contact tracing solution which employs Bluetooth technology and one that employs QR code?
Yeah, so with the Bluetooth technology that we see available today, you need to install it in your phone. And how it works essentially is everyone who has the app installed will basically detect each other, right, and log that moment where they see each other, right. So the two phones will log a particular unique ID, and after that, all of this information is stored on the device from what we see, and upon any one of the users actually being positive for the virus, that's when this data is then uploaded to a centralized server owned by the government. So I think this is a great method, to do it. But however, I think the biggest barrier is that based on research and also based on several studies, is that you need about 60 to 70% of the population to actually use this particular method in order for it to be effective. So, which is why in March when we built COVCT, I think a lot of governments were building a Bluetooth enabled contact tracing app, and what happened was that we said, maybe a QR code method might work, right? For several reasons, because one it's voluntary, two, the data is centralized, and also it's effective even if a smaller number of users use it, right? So even if 10 persons go to a particular location, and during that period of time, someone in that location, has fallen ill, at least you still can contact at least some of those 10 persons, right? So I think that's the main goal. So it's effective in that sense. But like I said, there are a lot of different methods of doing it. So there are other ways as well.
So But as Bluetooth is effortless, that means as long as the user, apart from turning on their mobile phones, Bluetooth, and also having the app actually installed already, as opposed to relying on users being responsible and disciplined in checking in at each locations. Do you agree that ultimately a contact tracing solution employing Bluetooth technology would be the way to go? Are there any plans
Um,
in PgCare to evolve and include Bluetooth technology?
I, yeah, I mean, I think Bluetooth is effective. However, the barrier of having, 60 to 70% of the population to install it and use it is definitely going to be an issue, right? So because of that, I feel that because there's no way you cannot force someone to do it, because that goes against their freedoms and things like that, right? So it has to be a voluntary effort. So I think while the Bluetooth apps are great, there has to be a voluntary method
And the
that we have.
balance
Yeah, exactly. There has to be a balance because you I think as soon as you start forcing someone to do something, they wouldn't want to do it, right?
rebel, they rebel.
Exactly. So on the second question on whether PG Care will evolve to something like that. In all honesty, I do not know, because the technology that we provided is the QR code technology. So I think it's a question for someone from the government to
State.
answer that.
Okay. We have a question from the audience relating to this. So Stephen is just curious to know, are all contact tracing same among all states, countries, and in sync with WHO, and are data shared? I think what he means is shared between the others, if there's any difference between the states.
Right. Um, Well, at this point in time, how the Penang state government does it is that the data sits with the government, right? The data belongs to the government. It's stored on the government servers, and in the event there's a case, there has to be a request from the state health department, and then it'll go to the government and they'll request for that information. Whether it's shared with other states, I believe there is a hierarchy, so it probably has to come from the Ministry of Health downwards to the local state health department, and then they will make the request to the state government directly, in order to aid in any sort of contact tracing and any cases if they've come across any.
So technology is a double-edged sword. It does bring convenience to many people who are technologically savvy, but in recent times we have seen a few examples that those who cannot afford a smartphone, or they have a smartphone but they are not so tech savvy, they are actually left behind. How does Care handle this?
Yeah. So for Penang Care, what we do? Yes, you do need a smartphone to scan the QR code. However, in the early days, we also do realize that not everyone owns a smartphone, and we set out to build a platform that's inclusive to everyone, right? In Penang and whatnot. So we actually have a SMS based check-in method. So if you see the posters around Penang, you'll see that there's a short code, there's a code that you can SMS to a particular number. By doing that, you will be checked into that location. So it is pretty seamless, and you'll get a response saying you've been successfully checked in. So this is something that we wanted to do, and we've done it, and so people can SMS if you don't want to scan the QR code.
And I suppose that's how Mixis is also involved in this initiative.
Yeah, Maxis is on board as a supporting partner for the whole initiative. Yeah.
and they're the ones handling the SMS, sending the OTPs and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's glad to know that. And I actually just found out about this quite recently when I was interacting with somebody. So I was discussing with my friend that, so this is another unfriendly method for those who, because we have a case in Penang recently when we went to smart parking. So a lot of the elderly, they face some problems. So she also pointed out, and she just discovered about the SMS shortcode. So it's good to know that you all are inclusive.
Yeah, yeah.
Privacy is a main issue when it comes to contact tracing. I just received a promotional SMS from a retail store which I visited recently and had to key in my personal data because they wasn't using Penang Care. They insisted they wanted to use their own contact tracing solution, which is basically just a Google form. So they collected, of course, they have to collect my phone number. Um, and I suppose they send this. I'm not going to mention the company, but I definitely know because I've never registered with them for any other thing, and I got a promotional code just 10 days after I visited the place. So you mentioned just now Penang Care's data is actually it resides with state government
Yes.
who actually has access to this and how does Penang Care ensure the data is actually secure?
Yeah, so there's a team within the state government that accesses the data, but however, we have built in several layers of controls in order to access the data. So all data is stored in an anonymized fashion. So anyone who logs in, you can't really see the person's name or mobile number or whatnot, right? So these are measures that we have taken in order to protect people's information, and the data will only be de-anonymized by a certain individual within the state government in order for contact tracing. So everything is logged, everything is secure in that sense. So people cannot misuse it. You will not be receiving an SMS from PgCare to buy stuff or anything of that sort. So yeah, but I think to address the usage of data outside, that I guess that is a problem in over time, because there's a lot of information being stored, not stored, sorry, just on pieces of paper all across the place, and doesn't stop anyone from using this information, right? So which is why the state government embarked on this, and wanted to create a secure, safe way and a convenient method for Penangites to go about their daily shopping and whatnot.
Yeah. And it is evident that privacy is a huge concern because we have two relevant questions. So the first one is from Tim. Do you think it's possible to develop the tech behind Penang Care beyond contact tracing during pandemics? Also, did you encounter any privacy concerns when implementing the app?
Yeah, I think evolving, something like Penang Care for to be used after the pandemic. That's something that, again, I can't answer that, because I wouldn't know. However, I think on the privacy aspect of it, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of work went into securing the infrastructure, right? Making sure that every step of the way is secured. There's literally 3 or 4 different things you need to do in order to log in, right? So that's how that's how much effort we put into the security, because I think building a platform such as this, it's not just about building, cool tech, right? It's more of it's also a huge responsibility, and I think that's something that we take very seriously, and that is something that's obviously been brought up several times. And I think here, even on the comments, we see a similar fashion, right? So I think it's something that needs to be taken seriously, not only with Penang Care, but across all contact tracing solutions, even whether it's a private contact tracing solution or whatnot. I think privacy needs to be at the core of it, and it's a huge responsibility to build something like that. So we didn't want to leave any stones unturned, right?
Again, from Dr. Kong, he's actually our CEO. I registered with Penang Care and use it regularly. I don't recall signing anything on use of my private info. Is PDPA taken into consideration?
Yeah. So actually, when you sign up the first time around, there's a little checkbox there where you agree to share your information with the state of Penang, as well as the Ministry of Health. We also have all of the other relevant information in the privacy policy. There's a disclaimer. So a lot of that was worked on by the state to make sure that we cover all bases. So you wouldn't see things like your information will be used for marketing purposes, to sell you products and things like that. From what I can see, right? But you if you don't believe me, you can also have a look at it on the website.
Yeah, I admit that when I start to sign up, I just want to get passed through the line, so I didn't read through the
Yeah,
POS. So any
it's
contact
important.
tracing, yeah, yeah. Any contact tracing solution is better than none, and one which employs technology does have its benefits as well, such as greater flow through at check-in points. I saw the one at ICT Mall. They were getting in. It's just at CONTACT here. The first few days of when Penang allowed to open business in Texas, the queue was really huge, very, very, very long. But then the next day, I saw that it was much shorter, and I have a look and I saw that they were actually using Penang Care already. So it's good that it does have its benefits. And also another thing is not having to touch communal pens for conventional methods employing pen and paper. What are the other advantages which technology brings to contact tracing?
I think one of the main ones is the speed of retrieving the data, right? In the event there's someone that has tested positive, right? The speed of pulling out the data is going to be key. As I mentioned earlier, the traditional methods are long drawn. You need to depend on people to tell you where they went and things like that. But also the alternative of writing down on paper, somebody needs to eventually put that into some sort of sheet somewhere, right? I don't think it's fair to the government or the city council to say here's 5,000 pages of names and phone numbers, right? Yeah. So I think the main thing with the use of technology for contact tracing is also it also helps with more efficient use of time, right? Because I think with a lot of the SOPs and businesses following these SOPs, it should never really be SOP for the sake of doing SOP. It should really be there's a purpose for it. There's a reason why we're doing it, and therefore we should do it, in an efficient manner, and so that we don't we don't waste time going through like stacks of paper. And I think one of the things to note also is the authenticity of the information, right? So with Penang Care, I'm sure everyone has gotten the SMS to verify your phone number. So the reason that happens, so we did that with Cough City, right? And now it's we're also doing the same thing with Penang Care, but it's mostly because you need you need information that is accurate, right? Because in the event there's an outbreak and you can't call a bunch of people, from I read an article the other day saying, I read an article the other day saying, people are putting in names like Superman and Batman and all of these, right? And there's nothing stopping them from putting fake phone numbers, but I think people need to understand that this is being done because they want, the governments want to keep the people safe, right?
Yeah, and I agree with you because my friend related to me as well. She went to 7-Eleven. Well, maybe they asked too much information to be keyed in. Apart from the name and telephone number, she had to also put in her IC. So the name is a pseudonym and the IC number is a fake one. But she was afraid that if there's a case at the 7-Eleven and they can't contact her, so she put in her real telephone number. So, but with Medicare, I guess with the OTP, you have to authenticate. That actually ensures that it is the right person, and the right person has checked in, and the number we can contact in the event that is a spread of the virus.
Yeah, no, which I think is the most, which is why Penang Care exists, right? So I think that's the main thing, and hopefully everyone uses it and whatnot. But I see it being used. I mean, I was there earlier today, and it's pretty. I mean, it's nice to see that everyone's just scanning and getting on with their day.
So what can we expect if we are identified to be a close contact of a confirmed COVID-19 patient and we are also a user of Penang Care and we have been identified as somebody at that location?
So I mean, what will happen is the state health department will contact the state government, right, and notify on whether there's a person. So it's whether it's a person or whether it's a particular location, right? So if it's a person, then we'll know where that person has moved around and so on. If it's a location itself, at least we'll know how many persons went there, and if required, that information can then be shared with the state health department, who will then, using some of their other methods, they will determine whether how many, or how many persons. They'll basically contact them and try to understand, because there are a few different variables from what I understand from the health department, is that we need to know how long you were in that location. You need to know whether you were in close contact with this other person. Do you know that person, and so on, right? So there is still a bit of work, but I think the front end of the work is simplified with using something like Penang Care, right? So I think it is definitely useful, and we also hope that we don't really need to use it or use that data, right? Because we want to keep Penang green for as long as possible. So yeah.
So
Is there a question?
I did go to another location and they use their own contact tracing solution as well. So apart from checking in, there is also checking out as well. So they actually know the time that you came in, how long you spent, and uh, uh, when you left. So I guess that one is a bit more specific. Uh, would would Penang Care employ something similar, whereby you have a frame of a period of time
Yeah. At the
more
moment,
accurate?
right. At the moment, we have not, I mean, built that functionality in, um, simply because it requires the user to do more steps, right? So from a usability standpoint, I
More
think
cumbersome.
and yeah, exactly, and we want to make the whole process as frictionless as possible. We want people to be able to scan to and to go on, right? Because if there's a check-in check-out, then it's going to be very much like a time tracking tool, and it's just we just want to keep it simple for people.
Okay. We have another question from the audience. Okay. So Dr. Kong, have you guys considered providing some incentives for people to use the app? One other question, I think temperature data is not captured. At least after I scan, I just walk through, suggest to have somewhere in the app where temperature data can be captured. So some of the contact tracing solutions of their own, they actually do insist that we need to key in temperature as well. I think Starbucks is one of them. Yeah. Although they use a Google form, they require temperature to be keyed in as well.
Right. Um, yeah, so I mean, incentives to use the app, I'm not sure if that's something that the state wants to do. It's a good idea, but I think, yeah, the incentive is probably being safe, right? But I mean, we did think about it. Do you want to incentivize people when you have an app or like a startup, right? Give promo codes and whatnot. But I think in this case or this scenario where it's for the safety of the people.
One's health.
Yeah, exactly. So I would imagine that would be incentive enough. Yeah, on the temperature data, so it's not being collected after discussions with the state health department, simply because the user will be going through different shops and different locations and scanning, right? And the temperature data, to be honest, will be quite varied. I'm sure you've probably seen that today, where
Thermometers.
yeah, so there's a lot of anomalies with the temperature data that's being collected at the moment. People are getting 35 degrees. The people are getting 28 degrees. I've gotten 28 degrees personally before. I shouldn't be walking and moving if it was 25, 28 degrees. You know what I mean? So I think the temperature data, as much as it's collected, I think it's also on the person to declare his or her symptoms, which is why we have the symptoms in there. So if you're having a fever, then you can select the fever. But having a trend of the temperature throughout the day is also it's quite inaccurate, because if you're outside for a long time, temperature might be high. If you're inside the mall for a long time, the temperature will be low. So for that reason, the trend is not something that we are storing, because also, on the other hand, if you think about it, if the temperature is high due to a faulty temperature gun, that's also going to create some anxiety with the user, and also the state, right? Because you need to contact the person, you need to tell them, hey, you're 45 degrees or whatever, and there's to be a process. So with the at least with the symptoms, you can see a trend of over a period of time, you can see what the person was feeling until they they had a fever, for example. But I think another thing to note with a lot of this that we are doing now is with as the Ministry of Health says quite frequently, a lot of the cases that we're getting in Malaysia are asymptomatic, right? So I think 80%, with the last I checked, 80% of the cases are asymptomatic. So having a high temperature is a symptom, right? So that and technically that covers the 20%. So I think with the contact tracing, the main goal is so that we can help people. We can reach out to people that have been to a location where there's been a confirmed case, right? So yeah, hope that answers it, Dr. Kong.
Yeah, I suppose the incentive can come from the local governments. Maybe they can incentivize the businesses to put them up. I know that they are going about doing that at the markets, the hawker stalls, and things like that. So I think that way, if it's available in most locations, hopefully, you come, keep the skills where users will feel, I'll just use this. This is so much easier than having to fill up all the forms again and again and again.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think yeah, there could be an incentive, whether it's for the shops or premises or even for the users. Maybe the shops can give incentives for folks to scan and enter their shops, right? That could be something. But I think the like I mentioned, because we also don't want it to be you don't want to put out the wrong message, right? Because it's for the health of people, and for the safety of Penangites and citizens, right? So you also don't want to send the wrong message where it shouldn't. I think for something like this, it shouldn't really be a trade. You should be doing it because you want to do it, and because you understand the why you're doing it, right?
And you don't want everyone to, the shop is incentivizing me, so everyone will be rushing there, then we are crowding within.
Exactly. You don't want people to say, "Okay, I scan this. What you're going to give me?" Right? I think that's the wrong that's the wrong mindset.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll call it early night so that you can go and have a rest. So Prabhu,
Thank you.
To wrap things up, what role can the general public play to ensure contact tracing will be successful?
Yeah, I think it's mostly please do it, right? Please do it. Please scan the QR codes when you see it. Please use real phone numbers. But I guess in PgCare's case, you have to. But also, please use your real name. Because it'd be nice if you get a phone call from someone and someone saying your name, right? Like, hello, Mr. Prabhu, rather than hello, Batman. Were you at this location at this time? So I think that's the most important thing. Be responsible, essentially is what I'm saying, and be and continue to use it and support the authorities during this very difficult time and uncertain time.
You don't want to receive a call and calling a different name, and then you say, oh, no, wrong number, and then
exactly, right. And I think also there has been news reports from the government saying that you have to provide your real information, because I think under the law, right, you have to provide accurate information. So it is technically an offense to give fake information. So eventually, if someone calls you up and it's fake, you don't want to be in that situation. You know what I mean? because you'll be, you would have been to a place with an outbreak, and you would have given fake information.
And probably if you say there's no wrong number and you cut the call off, and then
Then you'll never know, right? So that's
yeah,
that's the thing. So I guess yeah, the
yeah,
message is to be responsible, is
responsible.
to support the authorities. They are not trying to make your lives difficult. It's just something that we need to do in these times. I think it is very new to a lot of people, and I think none of us, in our entire lifetimes, have ever dealt with a situation such as this. No one has, we've never had to stay at home for a couple of months, and I think a lot of these measures are so that we don't stay at home for many more months to come. So I think it's important for us to all work together and do this and get out of this, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for spending your time with us for the past
Thank you very much.
5 minutes. Thank you for your contribution, and hope you and everyone at Madison Technologies stay safe and healthy always.
Thank you, and you too. Stay safe. Thank you, everyone.
Good night. There you have it, folks. Please be responsible citizens and provide accurate information when using contact tracing. That's all we have for tonight. Thank you for being with us since 8 p.m. Join us again next Friday on Sunstream, same time, same place. Good night and stay safe.